We are streaming. We are recording. Let me play that cool music. You guys ready? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ready. Got my coffee. Let's do this.
There it is. Oh, yeah. The people love the music. All right, let's get into it. We are going to rip on some small streamers today, evidently, when it comes to quality. This is going to be fun. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Advertisement. Nope, for real advertisement. Oh, it didn't play. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io? Improving your stream quality. This stream is going to be all about precisely that. When people come to your live stream and it doesn't look good, obviously they bounce immediately. And if you're trying to build up a large number of concurrent viewers, you've got to have the highest quality possible. We're going to talk about what actually matters in terms of your quality today, and what you should probably let slide and ignore, and which things you probably can't improve. Today, I'm going to pull up a stream on the screen right now. Andrew Perrin and I were shopping around on Facebook looking for some good live streams to watch. Here's a Call of Duty mobile stream. We're not trying to make fun of this guy specifically, but there's some things that can improve here. And we're going to go stream by stream, examine streamers that have low viewers, talk about what they can do to improve. And then we'll also talk about what we're doing on our own streams that's growing our viewership by a substantial margin. Perrin, the stream that we just pulled up on the screen right now, what can they do to improve and what can people learn from this guy?
Well, first of all, he's killing a lot of his screen real estate with this massive border that does nothing. Like this border, correct me if I'm wrong here, but doesn't serve us any purpose other than to give us his name at the top. So that's just a lot of like, now we're watching the game in a less resolution, technically speaking, because he's got this border. And now he's doing this trick, which people like to do on Facebook. I don't know why. I guess it works somewhat to get people in, but you put a random image of a person in the corner of your frame, but you aren't actually a real person in the corner of the frame. So people come in seeing if they're going to get to see this cartoon person maybe be animated or something, and they get to be disappointed because it's just an image of a person, not a real person. This goes back to like, setting expectations and delivering on them. Also, if you notice right now, his live video just got interrupted. So he's having trouble with bitrate too. There's a lot going on here. Anyway, if he's gonna sell the fact that there's gonna be a person on the stream, but then he doesn't deliver on it, people are gonna come in and then they're gonna bounce.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, another thing too. So the reason why we brought up the streamer, like, oh my gosh, he's doing everything wrong. And so he's overdoing it with his overlays. I agree. I think he's doing that though because he's streaming something that's in like ultra wide because it's on his phone. But he's overdoing it on the overlays. He doesn't have a webcam. He's got the Facebook Gaming logo on his own stream while he's streaming on Facebook Gaming. There's no reason to say which platform you're streaming on. Everybody's there. They already know what platform you're on. And another thing too is this guy has not tested his bandwidth to ensure that he can have a stable stream quality before he actually goes live on his page. So anyone that's following him or comes across his page randomly is going to have this experience and they're never going to come back again. So you should do substantial testing before you actually go live and public on your page. You can do a test broadcast on Facebook and on any platform for that matter before you go live. So those are just a few quick examples. Now, what can you do to ensure that you don't have live video interrupted like this guy has right now? And so one thing I do is I just run overnight. I will run speed tests on my computer using speedtest.net or whatever type of speed checker. Perrin, you tell me which one you like to use.
I use the same one, speedtest.net. Yeah, my ISP actually has their own as well, sometimes that I'll use too.
That makes sense. So you go to speedtest.net, you go ahead and test and find out what your maximum upload bandwidth is. I usually run the test about 5 times, and I find about the average. You go ahead and drop, based on your speed test, you drop about 20% lower than that maximum, and then you run a test live stream playing a video all night long on your computer. That's what I do. It's called a stress test. And after you stress test your connection to make sure that you can hit that particular bandwidth, you go look in your streaming software after streaming for 6 to 8 hours or however long you slept, and you see if you dropped any frames during that stress test. And if you did drop any frames, you need to lower your bandwidth and do another stress test. Until you can do a long stress test with your upload speed with no dropped frames at all, you don't actually know what your ceiling is, and you don't know what your stable bandwidth is. That's something that's really important for stream quality. And you want to, whatever your maximum upload speed is, try to go 25% lower than that as your max. So let's say, for example, my maximum upload speed was 8 megabytes upload. I probably would want to be at about 5, maybe 5.5 up in terms of what I would actually be doing for my live stream. You want to give yourself a lot of headroom with that upload speed to make sure that you don't drop frames, because internet connections wobble, especially internet connections that are not on DSL lines, direct service lines. They wobble a considerable amount in terms of the reliability. And when they wobble, you're going to drop frames, you're going to pixelate, your stream is going to pause, and you're going to drop your quality by a significant margin. Any other internet tips for people to improve their stream quality?
And then if you're using like a second router, be careful you're not like hopping on both. So just make sure you do a little bit of work on your network to make sure the applications you're using are clear, that you have it set up properly, have it secured well. And if you do a little bit of work, it'll go a long way in keeping your connection stable there as well.
That makes sense. And if you have something that's not working in your stream, you should always be looking for a new solution. Like, for example, the Zoom call just dropped for about 3 seconds. It just crashed on me. So as soon as something stops working on your live stream, like some sort of tool or some sort of software, you should immediately be looking into another solution and dropping the thing that doesn't work like it's hot. So right now we're on Zoom. I'm looking to drop Zoom as soon as possible. And so that's another thing where like a lot of people ram their head up against the wall trying to solve a particular problem. And there's usually another solution out there to go ahead and to switch to another one. If you can afford it, getting a second internet line is something absolutely fantastic that you can do. It depends on how affordable internet is in your area. But I have 2 internet lines. One is a DSL line and one is a traditional broadband line. And if my normal broadband line that I'm live streaming on right now ever goes down, I can plug in the DSL line into my Ethernet jack and I can be back up and running in an instant. And so if you're able to afford that, getting a second dedicated internet line can be massive in terms of your internet reliability. Cool. Now we're going to look at Streamlabs OBS. This is Andrew Perrin's actual settings for his streams. And let's look at your output settings to make sure that you're doing everything you can to maximize your quality here. So Perrin, walk us through your settings and why you've chosen what you've chosen.
So I am using the hardware NVENC codec, which is from NVIDIA. And I'm doing this because I have a 2080 Ti, the top of the line graphics card currently. So, and NVENC is really, really good on that graphics card. I've actually tried a complete dedicated streaming rig. And the other option here that you have is X264 software. This uses your CPU, where NVENC will use your GPU to encode your streams. And you have a lot more control over X264 in terms of how much CPU you want to use. I tried so many different settings with a dedicated older streaming rig, and the new NVENC with 2080 Ti is just better. And it actually does not take away any impact from the performance on my games. I've tested this thoroughly with like a really heavily modded Skyrim where there's no wiggle. I don't leave any wiggle room for frames there. I use up all of my system resources with that game. So I've tested this pretty rigorously. I'm doing 1080p 60 FPS. So the recommended bitrate for that is 6,000. In fact, NVIDIA has a nice guide here. On the settings, if you guys want to see what they recommend, if you're using an NVIDIA GPU, I think they have all of that stuff up here. Yeah, they actually will tell you based on your upload speed, your bit rate, and your resolution and frame rate, what settings you should use. And these are pretty spot on. If you notice, I'm doing 1080p 60 FPS. My bit rate should be 6K, and I should have at least 8 to 10 megabits per second upload. I actually have 20, so I'm good there with my ISP. But back to the settings here. So most streaming platforms require a 2 keyframe interval. It's the most common one. I'm actually going to Restream IO, so they actually help out with that a little bit, but I just do that by default. Quality profile, preset quality, this is a default setting. It's recommended to leave it there. And then all these other settings look ahead, psycho visual tuning, and these max B frames, these are all NVENC settings. So if you use look ahead, this is getting kind of technical, but this is as technical as I'll get. If you use look ahead, you're supposed to change your max B frames to 4. If you don't use look ahead, you should turn your max B frames back down to 2. If you want to know a little bit about what look ahead is, this article on NVIDIA explains exactly what it is. If you have it, I recommend using it. It is a good feature. And that's pretty much it. I mean, those are like the base settings. Make sure that your actual video is set. I'm not scaling it. I'm actually recording at 1080p, 60 FPS. I'm not scaling it anywhere. And I try to make sure that my game, when I'm streaming, is also at 60 FPS.
Those settings are good, but you're actually one of them is wrong. So if you go back to your output, there you go. You have enforce streaming service encoder settings.
This
checked.
is not supposed to be on, actually.
That should not be on. Yeah. So for everybody else that has that box checked, that could be significantly decreasing your quality, depending on the platform that you're streaming to. So you could be telling it to stream at 6,000 bit rate, and you could be telling it to stream at a higher audio bit rate, but it'll actually nerf your quality if you enforce the stream encoder settings, maybe by half or more, if you check that box. So give whatever the streaming platform it is the maximum amount of upload speed and the maximum amount of quality possible, and then let it downscale you as necessary. Another bonus tip here is if you go to the audio tab here in any software, whether that's stream, no, not that one, the other one, go to output and go to the audio tab. Yeah, a lot of people just leave theirs at the standard 160 bit rate. I actually jack that all the way up to 320 on any channel that I'm live streaming on. And that'll actually increase, in some cases, will significantly increase your audio quality on your live streams. At the very least, it'll increase your audio quality in the recordings if you record any clips. Otherwise, you are recording at basically like a mid-tier MP3 quality for no reason at all. So you should jack that. It's noticeable too.
I noticed that in my live streams, and I'm glad you gave me this setting because I've noticed my audio quality and from the game and from my computer itself is pretty poor. My microphone is normally okay, but everything else is kind of sometimes distorted even.
Yeah, and if you jack it up to 320, a lot of the times the platform doesn't like it, and it'll be like, hey, turn that down. And you just say, no, shut up. And they just give them the higher quality. 320 audio bitrate is nothing. That's 1/3 of a megabyte of upload speed. And given how important your audio is, you need to maximize that quality. Some of the platforms will scale it down for you automatically, but you shouldn't be the one scaling down your own quality. Let the platform scale down the quality for you. Give it everything you can. And if you are able to use the preset of max quality here without tanking your computer and your system, you should absolutely do max quality if you can afford it. As long as you're not dropping frames, as long as your CPU is okay, as long as your frame rate's okay, go max quality. There is no reason not to do preset max quality. I always go max quality, and I noticed a marginal increase in quality, a slight increase in terms of my video quality. So that's that part of things. Cool. So the next part of things in terms of increasing your stream quality, of course, let's briefly touch on hardware. So how important is it to invest in, a baller DSLR camera and a baller microphone? How much money really should you be investing in that? What's the quality bar that needs to be hit in that element of stream quality, in your opinion, Perrin?
I would say the Logitech Brio is like the good, standard. And Logitech Brio is like a $150. It might be more now.
Logitech
webcam.
Brio is the best webcam on planet Earth. So that is like
so
the
it's
highest.
not a DSLR, but with proper lighting, you can get DSLR quality. And so DSLR is basically the goal, right? It's like the end game goal as a streamer that you want to do, but you're not necessarily going to be able to afford that or have that as an option right away. So I always look at Brio as like the standard, but you're looking or seeking to over time get to a better DSLR scenario, and then maybe use the Brio as like a backup second webcam or a second angle on what you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. So if you are going to buy a webcam, try to get a Logitech Brio. A lot of, right now they're overpriced. They're like $250. maybe $350 because of global demand. But if you can get one, they look fantastic. I think that lighting, like you mentioned, lighting is more important for your video quality than your camera is. And so you, with a webcam, even if it's a C920 or a $50 webcam, if you buy lighting, good lighting for your space, a handful of, LED lights with diffusers on them, your quality with your webcam will look better than most people that have a DSLR camera on their stream. So just keep that in mind. I made a video where I was comparing, where I was just showing off webcams, and I said, does this look like DSLR-like quality to you? And people are freaking out. And it's just because I had proper lighting. So lighting is more important than your camera. In terms of your microphone, I've mentioned this so many other times, but really the most important thing with your mic is to just buy any standard $130-ish microphone to get started, any $130 USB microphone, whether that's the Samson G-Track Pro or the Blue Yeti or any number of competitors now that sound nearly identical. I still prefer the Blue Yeti. They all sound about the same. That's the level of quality. That's the the minimum bar you need to hit. After you purchase that $130 option, whether it's the Rode NT USB, whatever, then save up your money for the big purchase so you can get the gangster setup like I have and like Parent has. The $800 to $1,200 audio setup. Don't do anything in between there, okay? Save up your money and get like the incredible professional audio setup next. Don't go with the $400 mid-tier mic. Don't go with the $500 mid-tier mic setup. Go all the way to the top. As soon as you invest beyond that initial $130 USB microphone, the mid-tiers in between there's barely any difference at all, especially with internet compression. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some more live streams and talk about things we can do to significantly improve our quality. Perrin is just browsing through random streams here on Facebook, kind of seeing what's good, what's bad, etc. What are your thoughts on standard Streamlabs overlays, like what he's got here at the top of his screen here? He's got the normal, standard percentage XYZ days to go goal at the top of the screen. It looks default. It doesn't look like he's done anything at all to make it look better. What are your thoughts on having those sorts of overlays versus spending some time to actually customize them, maybe getting a template, something like that to make it look better?
Yeah, so this one's huge, and that alone kills it. I've never a fan for anything overlay except for alerts. Like I think event lists are pretty pointless. I think this goal is pretty pointless, especially since it's so low. It's not moving. He's only got 2 viewers, so it's certainly not going to move. And it's huge. There's no reason for it to be this big. It's taking up as much screen real estate, if not more, than his webcam is. He's making it the most. What he's saying here in this on his stream, there's a kind of a subconscious thing here. He's saying, this is the most important thing I care about. I want you to help me get this goal, and I care about it more than anything else because look how big it is. But also, I'm too lazy to change it or make it look good. So it's bad. I see this with event lists where people make event lists that are absolutely massive. They take up like this much of the screen, and you've got like events, listed in here. And it's like at some point, we don't care about the event list. The event list isn't like the alerts where people, yeah, their name is there and big, but if you don't make it look amazing, nobody cares. I've never seen anybody really care about an event list. And I've also never seen it actually drive more engagement. Alerts, yes. So anything default, like event list from Streamlabs, like event list, this goal thing, no. The only default thing that works are alerts. That's the only thing that's okay to use default. The default alerts in Streamlabs with the sound effects are actually pretty decent, and you can quickly just change out a new GIF for them if you want to. But I mean, not to hate on this guy a little bit, but I mean, you can just tell what his priorities are, and this is it. Up here, this ugly bar is his main priority for his stream, and that's probably not a good look. That's probably not what you want to be going for. Well,
I'd like it if you can go to my AWOL Digital Facebook page then. I do have a custom banner up at the top that I got through Streamlabs Prime, And I'd like you to take a look at one of my more recent streams and go take a look at the bar at the top of my stream and tell me if you think it's distracting. Yeah, that stream right there will work. The Call of Duty, whatever. Go ahead and full screen it. See the little bar at the top of the screen I'm using with the recent follower, recent star, and recent share at the top. Those are my branded colors. I did hours of shopping to find the template. I customized it. I tried to make it so it wasn't, it was somewhat transparent. It fits in with my branding and my overall look. But like you said, it's just, it's always there, right? And it does in some way obstruct the gameplay at the top. So what are your thoughts on that? Oh, thank you for highlighting it so people know what the heck I'm talking about. What do you think about this little bar at the top I have here, which certainly look better than that other guy's? Do you think that's doing anything for me or for any other streamers? Or should I just kill it and keep my alerts? What's your personal opinion?
I think for you should run the data on it. Look at the data, because I think these are tasteful. They fit well with your design. I think there's a way to do eventless stuff like this that can work, but it has to be branded well and has to fit in. The fact that it gets somewhat transparent and leaves you some space is nice. I feel like we can kind of see through it, so it's less obstructive. And if you look at the difference here, it's not taking up more screen real estate than, say, your camera. If you look at it in total, like this other person's was, it's not the biggest focal element. I would say you could probably make this smaller so it's not taking up as much space. Like if you look, I like the design, but there's a little bit of wasted vertical space maybe here that you're taking up.
The thing is, if you make them smaller, nobody can read them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the problem there. As I'm kind of looking at it, I'm just wondering, is it necessary? So I like showing whoever the recent person was that these things happen. But you know what? I've got an alert that pops up on the screen that says who the recent person was. So why, so I guess the whole point of the banner at the top is you've got hang time in between your alerts that, reminds people if you're following, if you give stars, and if you share, you will get recognition on the stream, and you will be seen in between alerts. If your alerts on your stream are going off nonstop without any sort of break, then there's no point in having the banner at the top. That's kind of the logic I'm using. Maybe using a banner for other unique functions, such as maybe top donation to recognize the person that gave the most money, or things like, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, you're making me rethink banners, basically. Why the hell do I have that thing up there obstructing my gameplay?
Run the numbers on it, because this is a very personalized opinion that I have. I know that there are streamers out there that have event lists and things that work quite well. So run the numbers on this stream versus previous streams. Did you get more star donations? Did you get more engagements? Did you get more shares between a stream where you didn't have this and a stream where you did have this? If you can run those numbers, I would check and see if it's helping you. Then yeah. For me, I tend to gravitate stylistically towards more bare bones looking streams where you can just see the gameplay. That just tends to be what I like as my visual aesthetic. So when I'm saying I don't want to give the advice out there to everybody that don't do event lists because they don't work. I personally don't like them and don't think that they work, but they do work for some streamers. I just see a lot of new streamers just throwing up default event lists and it looks gross and ugly, and those don't work. They don't work. But something like what you're doing, this could work. So if you like it, run the numbers, see if it's been helping. Do you get more star donations? If that's the case, then keep it.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay, other elements of quality. Let's talk about curb appeal when you arrive at someone's stream or you see the preview thumbnail.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
This one's really important. So we're going to put titles aside. We're going to put even thumbnail aside, really. And let's just talk about the curb appeal of those first few moments. And let's navigate through some, there you go, this is great. Let's navigate through some streams right now on Facebook and see who's got the best curb appeal as you go down the list, so that we can figure out maybe what these best practices are. But what is the most important element here in terms of curb appeal? When you first click on a stream, what are those things you want to see immediately, or that prevent you from bouncing to the next stream?
a little bit of lag there. Hopefully I'm coming at the right time. So one of the things that I've noticed the most in terms of curb appeal where I don't click is when I see a thumbnail that says starting soon. And I see this all the time. I don't know why streamers, I understand why big streamers do this, but I don't understand why small streamers do this. And I encourage any smaller to medium-sized streamer to not do this. Like you start Facebook and the first 10 to 15 seconds, Facebook grabs your thumbnail if you don't supply it with one yourself. And if you have a starting soon slide, and normally these templates are really, really bare bones. They're like an image with some text. That's probably the worst thumbnail that you could have. It doesn't show your face. It doesn't show any of the qualities that separates you from other streams.
Click that starting soon one, just so everybody can kind of see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the curb appeal is there. Let's say you did click the starting soon. Oh, you see what happened, everybody? Because he started his stream with starting soon, Facebook pulled starting soon as his thumbnail for his entire stream. You see what happened there? So now, when you're navigating through Facebook forever, all anybody will see with his thumbnail is starting soon, even though his stream has already started. That is a huge argument against starting soon, certainly on Facebook gaming.
Yeah, I mean, same if you're going onto, well, I guess YouTube, you do have to supply it with a thumbnail, so that's a bit moot. But I mean, you can do a stream starting if you're going to do a customized thumbnail, and then you go in the dashboard in the beginning when you do your title and your info and you give it the thumbnail, you can manually tell Facebook what to use. But no one seems to do that, and they use this stream starting thing. And look at what this does. This guy, this Call of Duty streamer, actually has some really redeemable elements that he could have been using. He's on camera. This separates him out from other streamers. There's a lot of streamers doing Call of Duty with no camera. So he's showing his face. This is actually a pretty nice shot. He's got a pretty nice headset. It's got some like lights on it. It's got like an LED light on the microphone.
He's a good looking guy too. And being, if you're relatively good looking, how about we say this? If you're not horrible looking, emphasize your freaking face, man. People want to look at good looking people. And he's like a good looking young man over here. He's a strapping lad. Like, so he should be making that webcam larger. If I was advising him directly, I would say make your webcam even larger. You're a young guy. You're good looking. You're looking pretty charismatic as well. Or like you're looking sharp. Why aren't you making your webcam larger? People want to see that. People want to see young, good looking, strapping lads. That is attractive. Like it's just basic human psychology there. So you need to emphasize that moneymaker, your face.
Yeah. And he's also playing on his phone. So this would tell the audience, okay, he has a camera shot where you can watch him play on his phone. That's what people, that's relatable. It's a mobile game. People want to see that, generally speaking. So he is missing a big part here that would separate him out from the pack. He's also got like some cool elements, even if he just cut the stream starting thing and just went right into the game. He's got like this cool little like animated penguin thing, which I think caused some people to maybe click. I
kind of like the penguin. It's really kind of trash quality looking GIF, but the penguin is the only thing about that overlay at the bottom that is somewhat redeemable. Other than that, like having that giant follower goal and that huge event list over there, it's not optimal.
Yeah, this is taking up, again, more real estate than his camera itself. And that should never be the case, right? You got to think about the most defining factor that you have. Streaming is all about separating yourself from everybody else who's trying to do the same thing. What makes you different? That's what's going to make people click. So if you are making the human being, your face, less prominent than everything else, then you're not utilizing maybe potentially the only thing that you have that separates you from everybody else who's playing this game. Is no one else is you. No one else has your face. So if you're not using that to your advantage, that's an advantage that you have that you're just wasting. So this event list, and these are the things about event lists, they don't move. And this is why I don't like them. When you're smaller, they don't move. It's the same people's names on screen. It looks like nobody's engaging with you. I actually think it it reinforces people to not engage with you because it's not moving. It shows you that you're small and that nobody cares. That's what it tells me whenever I see it. It tells me this person's small, nobody's watching, nobody's following, nobody's sharing. It's the same names. That's a bad look. It means that nobody's engaging with you and nobody wants to engage with you.
I agree.
So I think
I agree.
Event lists can be a double-edged sword. You only should use event lists whenever you actually have a lot of activity so people can see, oh, tons of people are sharing, tons of people are liking. Okay, this guy's going somewhere. I want to be a part of this. But if you come to a stream and it's a frozen event feed, it's the opposite effect. It will hurt you.
That makes sense. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up really quick before we go. I want to remind everyone, if you're not already multi-streaming to platforms such as Facebook Gaming, which we're always talking about, you should be multi-streaming like we are. We're live streaming right now on Twitch. Hey, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope simultaneously using Restream.io. It's the best way to figure out which streaming platform is going to work for you. It's likely that they'll all work for you, just in varying levels of success. We love Restream. We've been using it for years. Use the link in the description of our YouTube video and our DLive version, also in our bio on Twitter. And if you want to get a 25% discount on Restream, use code DROP25 to get 25% off. That's DROP25 to get 25% off Restream, DROP25 to get 25% off Restream.io. It's just an amazing software. We freaking love it. And thank you for sponsoring us, Restream. Those are our just initial thoughts on what you can do to improve your quality. Quick recap. Make sure you understand what your bandwidth is on your internet and try to stay within that bandwidth cap, 30% down. Make sure that you have the right encoding settings and upload settings in your streaming software and that it's not tanking your CPU or your GPU. And then 3, really focus on your curb appeal on your live stream and really think about what you're actually broadcasting, what you're actually throwing up there in terms of your overlays and your alerts. Is it actually helping you? Is it helping you get clicks? Is it helping you prevent people from bouncing as soon as they arrive at your stream? And is it retaining viewers for longer periods of time? You need to be thinking about all 3 of those things and not just adding crap on the screen. Anything else you want to add there, Perrin, with our final thoughts today?
There's so much more we could hit there, but we only have so much time. So we'll stop there, maybe do another episode on this at some other point.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for listening to the Digital Drop Podcast. Our podcast is available on every audio platform as well. So if you want to catch the audio version while you're at the gym, while you're lifting, while you're running, while you're drinking beer and doing manly things, as all of our viewers do, they can relate to us because we do that. You just listen to it on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, all the places, iHeartRadio, audio versions out there too, all right? Thank you so much for watching. Go try new things with your live stream and be scientific about it. Ask yourself, is it actually serving the viewer better? If not, cut it. Adios, amigos.